everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Linda Oglesby, Engagement Manager here at the Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce. First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming out this Thursday and joining us for our Business Power Lunch. Please feel free to help yourself. Drinks are in the cooler if you have not already found them. Help yourself to the kitchen, and then washrooms are right down this hall to your right. With that, I am delighted to introduce Azizi Marshall, our speaker for today, in regards to our topic, Speaking with Impact. So, Azizi, take it away.
Hey, hello, welcome everybody.
Hello.
Oh, thank you. Applause for you being here as well. I see some familiar faces. I love seeing everybody, and just welcome. We are going to dive into the introductions, but we're not going to do it at the beginning, because I'm going to challenge you with doing your own introductions a little bit differently at the end. So just prepare yourself emotionally, physically, whatever you're doing. All right. Was there a large exhale there? I heard it. Okay, so just a little bit about me so you understand just why I'm up here talking about speaking in front of people. Well, my background is actually raised by two therapists as parents. That's my father over there holding me as a baby. I know, right? It's so cute. And then the one on the right is my brother and I standing with my mother when she received 50 Years of Service award for working with the Red Cross. Wow. Yeah, talk about legacy. Just gotta live up to that one. Yes. But my background was actually not in therapy. I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to be a dancer. I wanted to be an actor. So I moved to Columbia College, studied film directing. I was in an all-girl pop band called Petroluna. We toured throughout the world. It was super fun. I also did a dance stint on a low-budget Soul Train TV show called Attack of the Boogie. Anybody watch it? No? Okay, it was like on a Saturday at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I did have some people recognize me on the L train. It was awesome. And I directed theater for a long time. I loved working with youth, especially when they could tell their stories, and ended up studying psychotherapy because I wanted to combine this love of theater with helping people that I was already working with. So I ended up working at River Edge Psychiatric Facility doing drama therapy and opened up my own center. And that's my family right there playing tennis. It is the only, I would say the first and only picture you will see of us playing tennis. My husband plays it, I do not, and the girls did not want me on their team. Let's just say that. So I'm just really curious with this group. What does executive presence mean to you? No right or wrong answer. Just what does it mean to you?
Like a dominant aura.
The dominant aura. Okay.
Commanding the attention of a room.
Yes.
Yeah, confidence.
Confidence. Mm-hmm. What was I heard some of? Yes.
Compelling.
Say that again.
Compelling.
Compelling. Yes.
I think being the best you can be when you're presenting.
Mm-hmm. Be the best you can be. Yes. Yes.
I'd like to say engaging with your audience in with what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, engaging with the audience too, because if you're just standing up here just talking to talk, but you're not connecting with your audience, we'll learn that later, you're going to lose your audience and then your impact won't be as strong. So let's go over executive presence. The 4 key elements of executive presence. One is poise. And I used to work with clients there. They would walk in the door. I'll show you an example. One person walking in the room. And Leslie's seen this when we've gone to see teens at a high school. They literally look up to avoid eye contact with you, right? Versus somebody who walks in the room, like you were saying, confidence and poise is. It's almost like you walk in like, hello, everybody, right? It immediately takes your eyes to that person. You're like, why are they so happy and just like engaged, like what is going on, right? You want to get to know them just because of how they're entering the space, right? They're making eye contact with people, they're smiling, they're even nodding their head and you don't know why you're nodding your head with them. Yes. Yeah, so poise is really important. 2 is vocal authority. So this is Johnny Crowder. He is the developer of Cope Notes. Cope Notes is a text-based platform where people receive mental health support. So it's a lot of encouraging words that he uses and support, and he has a lot of people that are helping him with this. But he's also a death metal singer. And so his vocal authority is strong when he steps on those stages and does his speaking engagements. Also, he has this presence with just tatted up completely. He just got his full neck tattoo. It's awesome. And so when he walks into a room, you just look. You're like, wait a second, what's happening over there? You're not quite sure what to think. But he is the sweetest, most gentlest man ever, but his vocal authority, because of how he sings, is very strong. Next is body language. So there's body language that is like this, kind of like hands behind the back, kind of bending my knees like I'm really uncomfortable, versus standing up tall, shoulders back, making eye contact. Body language is really important when you're speaking, right? Because immediately it shifts how much you're going to pay attention to that individual. If they're feeling small, you're going to feel small with them. And then next is emotional intelligence. It is very important when you're speaking to a room of people that you're constantly checking in with them. You'll notice, okay, somebody's starting to write some notes, but I don't think they're notes about what I'm saying, so I'm losing them. Oh my goodness, let me keep more eye contact. Let me raise my voice a little, maybe make my eye contact. How are you doing, right? I know I'm not losing you just yet, but it's one of those things that you are aware of, that you want to connect with the audience to make sure that they are fully engaged. So you're reading the body language of the room foremost. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, so the 3 pillars of executive presence. First is confidence. Does anybody know Dan Ferks? Yes. Right? When I say confidence, it makes you smile. You're like, yes, that is Dan Ferks, right? Look at this picture of him just walking. That is confidence right there. It's how you carry yourself. Right? When you carry yourself small, people will start to think of you as small. When you stand up, when you fill the room, it's not dominating the room, but just letting people know, hello, I'm here. Confidence. Next is clarity, how you communicate your message. Is it clear? To me, in my head, when I start talking about therapeutic terms, I make sense to me, right? Let's see, DBT, CBT, EMDR. There's like, what? Some of you may know, but others are like, I have no idea what those acronyms mean, right? But if I'm just spouting off acronyms that people don't understand, I'm losing half of the audience, if not more. So make sure that you are communicating your message in a way that your audience will understand. And then last is connection, how you're engaging with others. Are you making eye contact? And people say, like in this room, it's very easy to make eye contact with you all. But if you are looking at a large space that we have encountered, where it's an entire auditorium filled with people, how do you connect with them? Right? You see artists do this all the time, where they come into the audience, they touch somebody's hand, and that person's like melting. But then everybody around them literally melts too. It's like she touched my hand, but through that person in front of me, right? It is connecting with those people so that it's almost like a ripple effect. If you can point out somebody in the audience and they can shout something to you, right there, you've engaged that whole back row. Right? So when you can connect with the audience, again, that gets people engaged in what you're talking about. Okay, so when you are doing social media videos, when you are doing any sort of speaking engagement, making sure that you are authentic and real is so important. We learn this as therapists, that authenticity is key to a good connection with your client. Same thing if you are presenting, if you're on stage. So I like this, keep it real. R is relatable. Do people understand what you're talking about? Can they relate to what you're talking about? E, emotional. You want to bring some sort of emotion into the story, whether it's anger or sadness or joy, whatever it may be. And if you could incorporate more than 2 emotions, maybe even 3, then people are going to go, wait, I was sad and I'm nervous for you, and now I'm really excited about what's coming up next. That connects people to your story. And then there's authentic. There are times, there is a speaking engagement, and I'm going back actually tomorrow for a park district. And I remember describing how to de-escalate angry customers. and how to de-escalate angry colleagues. And I said, you don't want people going ratchet up on you. And see, some of you know, but some in the audience had no idea what I was talking about. But then I said, oh, wait, hold on a moment. I was like, okay, does anybody know what ratchet is? I was like, it is this. And so it was being authentic. It's using the terms and language that I use. It got some laughs within the room, but it's also, that's how I talk. That's who I am. My teens love it when I talk that way, but not my own children. Still.
It's always your kids.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. And then there's lasting impact. Is what you're saying helping the other person move forward? Is it helping them realize a dream? Is it helping them have hope? What is it that you're impacting them with your message? If it's not helpful, don't put it out there. So we're going to try this. I think we've been having some issues with the audio, so we're just going to all be like really quiet and then hope that you can hear it, and we're just going to go like this. This is an example of how to keep it real. Hey, business leaders, here is a public service announcement for you to understand and recognize why pouring gasoline on a problem at work is just the same as pouring gasoline on a problem at home. So here's what happened last night. My 9-year-old daughter got putty stuck on her hands, and I asked my husband to help. His solution was to pour gasoline on her hands in order to get the putty off. Was the problem solved? Yes. Did it create multiple problems afterwards? Absolutely. And I ended up not getting to sleep until almost midnight. So here's what I want you to think about. When the gasoline was poured on her hands, yes, the putty did come off. However, the aftermath was the biggest amount of work for me then to have to deal with. We had to move our dog upstairs into my oldest daughter's bedroom. Oh, no. Anyway, just to complete that story, we did have to move the dog upstairs into my daughter's bedroom because of the noxious fumes. We also had to soak my daughter in a concoction of, I believe it was vinegar and baking soda to get in the just not, you think about a 9-year-old in a tub with vinegar and baking soda, it's disgusting, but it's better than her smelling like gasoline all night. And then also it was done in the sink of our kitchen. So then I had to open up all the windows. It was freezing outside. And so it was just like super cold. The heat's going on. So we're opening windows upstairs too. So we're not sweating to death. It was a whole thing. And so my whole point in this story was if you're going to do workplace wellness, don't just throw gasoline on it thinking it's going to get better. You actually need to focus and see what you actually need to use before you make more work for all of your employees that you hadn't even thought about. So that's where that video came into play. And it came from a story of my husband trying to do the best thing possible, which he did, but it turned out in a very different way. So now let's look at our vocal and physical presence. So first is tone. The tone of our voice, how soft it is. There's this radio FM DJ voice that you can do, right? The soft, smooth. And then there's the loud, commanding voice where everybody's like, why are you yelling at me, right? It's the one when I'm trying to get attention of the kids. Hey, over here, right? Very different versus yoga voice. We're all just gonna namaste together, right? The tone changes with your message. And so the more you can inflect within your voice, the more people stay awake, right? That's your goal. You want them to stay awake. You want them to stay engaged in what you're saying. Next is pace. I recently worked with a gentleman who spoke so fast. And if you were to ask my mother what it was like to listen to him, she has a hearing issue. She actually cannot hear out of one ear. She would just say, I stopped listening to him 30 seconds ago because I couldn't even try to understand what he was saying, right? So if you're speaking too fast, you're going to lose your audience. If you're speaking too slow, your audience is going to fall asleep. Like you already start to get uncomfortable with the fact that I was speaking that slow, right? You're like, gosh, hurry up, right? Okay. Next is projection. This is something that as artists we use and as singers we use. This diaphragm is key. So if you're without a mic, being able to use this part, you're not using this, your chest, your lungs, that's not going to get it out, and you're going to end up wrecking your vocal cords. So if you can focus on breathing from your diaphragm, that actually pushes the air out more and it makes your voice louder and it can project further. Anybody a singer in here? Oh, for sure, Leslie. All right. Many years. Okay, so it's still in you then. It's still in you. Yes. So using your diaphragm will help with that projection. Articulation is also important. I have a daughter who speaks French and wants to move to Canada and has all these random, I don't know, these random accents that she just comes home with sometimes. And I'm just like, how did you learn how to say that word? What does it say? And so we joke every now and then on what it actually sounds like. But it's important to understand how you are articulating certain words. Because again, if you aren't articulating, you're going to miss certain key messages when you're speaking to your audience. And then next, again, is body language. How you sit when it's kind of like a speakeasy kind of vibe, right? You see how he's sitting very casual, his legs kind of crossed a little bit, he's leaning back with the mic, he's like, I'm super cool here, right? It's a very different vibe than when you have a giant audience that you're speaking to. Very different vibe when you have a camera you're speaking to. Because as film actors, we learn just one eyebrow raise is as giant as a screen, right? One eyebrow raise, and that's what they're focusing on. So make sure that you're adjusting to that audience based on the body language you have. Okay, so we're gonna try this, adjusting the language and our tone and our pace. We're just gonna say the simple thing. I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes. It could be, I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes, or oh, I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes, right? Whatever it may be, however you want to say it, we're gonna go spitfire through this room. I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes, go.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
Oh, I've got a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I feel you, yes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
Yes, you do.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
Yes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
You have a Zoom call in 15 minutes?
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes. Again.
Okay, another.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
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 You're ready for it too.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
No normal human.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes. I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
I have a Zoom call in 15 minutes.
Seriously.
Yes. So the inflection, the pace, the tone, all of that matters in just this one phrase. We play this game, it's an improv game where we have just one line, and sometimes it's like 3 lines back and forth, and you can change whatever it means based on your tone and your body movements and everything. So how do you craft emotionally resonant narratives, right? When we can tap into those emotions of the audience, then again, that keeps them engaged. So one is talking about the core emotions. So the core emotions that it's very easy when we think about children: happiness, sadness, joy, fear. Did I say sadness already? Sadness, right? And so we want to tap into those, the ones that when you see something, it hits your gut. Like, what was one that caught me? There was a video I was scrolling through, and there was this police officer that was guarding some sort of party, like a block party. And they was doing the cha-cha slide kind of thing. And he's standing there, and the music is going. He's just like, right? But he was trying to do it low key, but it just brought me so much joy. I'm like, here's this guy doing his job, but also having fun. So again, it's just that joyfulness that I saw. And then there's other videos that you see and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, right? And those suck you in too. So tapping into those core emotions when you're doing your videos, when you're speaking, can help, again, engage with your audience. Next is authentic characters. This goes back to just being you. The world can see when you're not being yourself. They can. I remember doing videos when I first started. I hated them like with a passion because I was like, oh my gosh, the world is judging me and I have to be absolutely perfect. And those videos sucked. They super sucked. There was so low engagement. Nobody cared. I was like, this is me practicing self-care going for a walk. Right? It was horrible. But then I learned that this is me practicing self-care going for a walk. Is this enough for you? Like, and then I started actually having fun with those conversations because going for a walk isn't everything for that. So really tapping into my own experience. Next is visual storytelling. If you have a good video editor or even Canva is fabulous. They have tons of just stock videos and they keep adding more. Those are great when you're telling your story, especially on video, to add in some visual interest because not everybody wants to see your face the whole time. But if it connects to something that pulls an emotion, like talking about, so I woke up and my baby was just crying all night long. Okay, it's one thing for me to say it, but it's another thing to visually see a baby crying, right? That pulls at your heartstrings more than me saying my baby woke up crying. And then emotional arc. When we tell stories, there's always an up and down. If you, I really wanted to bring my husband with me today because he is the king of storytelling and he ends up with a Bugatti in there. He ends up with a bunch of billionaires with some cigars. Often cigars are actually, it's a true thing. And just a monkey sometimes he'll add in there. There's just like, his stories are just so outlandish, but you listen to them because they're interesting, right? And he's taking you on this story arc of like, so we started over here and it was all deep and quiet. And I got like super bright, and then we go back down, right? But he keeps you engaged because it's up and down and up and down. Okay. So how can you tailor your presence for different settings? So let's start with the camera. The camera is literally this far away from your face. So imagine talking to somebody who is right here. You're not going to yell at them to project your voice, right? You are talking just like you would to a friend across the table, talking about, having some coffee or whatever. And the smaller your facial movements are, the bigger actually the camera picks it up. They pick up the slightest little movements. And great actors like Meryl Streep, if you watch her, sometimes she doesn't even have to say anything. She literally will just like, something like that, just so short. And it has the biggest impact. So same thing, when you're on camera, you don't have to worry about being so big. Just be yourself, okay? Next is in the boardroom, right? You're then projecting, probably like in a room similar to this. You want to make sure that the people who are sitting on the far end of the table are actually still listening to you, that they're still engaged. So there's a little bit more projection and there's a little bit more animation because they're seeing your whole body. And then you have on stage. So that's when projection is necessary for people to hear you. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone to a presentation and the mic has not worked. And so I'm like, all right, this is a big old audience and here we go. Get some tea and honey afterwards, but making sure that you can project your voice so that people can hear you is a skill to practice. And again, when you're on stage, you have bigger movements too. In a boardroom, you're not like this. Like, this is my presentation. That's what you would do on a stage because people want to be engaged and brought in, right? So your movements are going to be a lot bigger when you're on stage versus in the boardroom. Okay, so when I said that we're going to do introductions, and then I heard some sighs and some pain going on. One thing to do is to practice breath control. Your breath is the quickest thing you can tap into when you're feeling nervous. And I learned this breath from a guy named Dave Geiselman. He is all about breath work. He goes into organizations and does breath work. So I'm going to have you do this with me. Okay, ready? So you're going to take a deep breath in. Take another deep breath in. There's still air. And now slowly let it out. Do it again. This time, try to keep your shoulders down when you do it. Okay. Deep breath in. Deep breath in. And then slowly let it out. Okay. What did you notice?
stopped pounding as fast as it was when you started mentioning introductions.
Yes,
So I get it.
Yeah, it slows the heart rate down. And the reason why it does that is it's that deep breath in, then when you think you don't have any more air, you actually do. So it's teaching your body to like relax so you can get more air in. And then the long exhale literally slows everything down in your
Like
body.
the muscle tension.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
I felt myself change posture the second time I did it. I sat up more straight so I could breathe in more deeply.
I love that you said that because the name of that breath is called the confidence breath. Yes. So tap into your breath. I do this. I still get nervous when I talk, especially when I show up and the audience is massive. And I looked at Leslie at the SHRM conference. And I was like, okay, here we go. It was the biggest audience I'd ever spoken to. I mean, it was massive. And there were people that were also being beamed in virtually too. So it was a little nerve-wracking for me. But I used my breath to ground myself. And there were issues with the audio. They were playing music at the beginning when I was talking. I was like, nobody can hear me. There's like people talking in the audience because they're like, I don't know what's going on. And I just had to stand there like, can we check audio? Audio, can we turn audio off? All right, everybody, right? But still keeping that calm presence was hard. So that breath was what got me through it. Next is grounding yourself. I have worked with so many, even my own child, that she's practicing a presentation for school and she's like, okay, so then this, and then this, and then all this, and then I'm talking about this particular topic, and it's like, girl, stand still, right? So if you are feeling nervous, this is nervous energy right here, okay? When you ground your feet, even like uncross your feet right now, everybody whose legs are crossed, just feel the ground. It is there to support you. And there have been times, there was another conference I spoke at where I lost the ground and I almost fell over during the talk. I was also wearing heels. Also keep that in mind when you're doing presentations, right? But to ground yourself keeps you here. And so that nervous energy has nowhere to go but into the ground. And then the next one is mental framing and imagery. This is my guy, Carlson Gracie Jr. Does anybody know who he is? Right? The Gracie brothers. I worked at a fitness center, and he was one of the, he wasn't mine, but he was one of the clients there. And him and I had lots of talks about how he would imagine the fight going. And of course, he's always imagined that he's going to win, right? As a Gracie brother. And he would say that if he doesn't do the imagery first, he doesn't have as successful as a tournament as he does. So Carlson Gracie Jr., he is one of the Gracie brothers, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Basically, don't get in a fight that ends on the floor because you will lose to him. Okay? So he imagines it. And I also saw this on a Barbie movie too. If you see it, then you can believe it that you can achieve it. It was about a gymnastics person. And she was imagining all the things. And when you can do that, it helps to alleviate those nerves. So before you have a speaking engagement or you're presenting something in a boardroom, imagine yourself doing it confidently. I also like to imagine what would happen if everything goes wrong. Yes, because then you've already imagined what it could be and then you know exactly how you're going to deal with it. Sounds not working. There's a lot of times because I knew Leslie was going to be here, I imagine Leslie taking over and just fixing things because she's so magical in that way, right? I'm like, oh, Leslie's going to be there. It's fine. I already imagined her fixing things, right? So when you can start to imagine these things, that can help you then feel more confident. Okay, so this, again, we're going to use our inside voices or inside ears to hear this. Blooper reels, I think, are so important because we take ourselves seriously way too much. And this is one of our old therapists, and she never did take herself seriously, and we absolutely loved her for it because she was authentic. So this is a blooper reel from her.
My favorite food is chocolate. I like every kind of chocolate under the sun. I like dark chocolate and white chocolate and milk chocolate and chocolate with cinnamon, chocolate with chili peppers. All of it is good, and I think it has a lot of mental health benefits as well. So that is my favorite.
I love it. That was like fun.
You ready? Because you are my favorite type of client.
Reset.
All right. Where am I? What am I doing? I can't do it too many times because then I'm like, here's what I was talking about. I think.
Expanded on?
I think I like
One that answer the question.
No, you have no idea. Whenever I saw the questions, they were like, what? We gotta get issues, people, populations. I received my master's.
Exactly.
It was a miracle. I received my master's, y'all. I love social work so much that I keep doing it. That's my personality. Yeah.
Just say it again. That was it. I can't wait to do a blooper reel.
It's all over. It's all ready? Don't put that on there.
Okay. So using this is a way to connect with your audience because everybody sees this picture perfect image or video of you and we know it's not real. When I shoot my videos, because I don't feel like putting on makeup or doing anything like that, I don't have time. So I have a filter that I use for my phone that makes me look like I spent all the time with my makeup bag, which I don't like doing. So I use that. And there will be times where I will show a video of me not filtered and me with a filter just to say, hey, this is me saving about 20 minutes of my day by turning this filter on and off. How about you use it? It's great, right? So my husband even uses it because he really likes how it makes his cheeks rosy. I don't know. So when you can use those things, that can be helpful. But again, the blooper reels, having people understand that you are a human being connects you even more to your audience. And I've had people say that because of this particular video, the gasoline video specifically, because you were just so real about what you went through, I wanted to work with you, right? So the more real you can be, the more connected you can be with people. All right. So here's some final tips for you. One is if you're doing social media videos, do a batch day. A batch day is when you set aside one full day or even just the morning time and you lay out some outfits. And again, you don't have to lay out a bunch of different outfits, but just a bunch of different tops or maybe some scarves or necklaces and just change them out. And then you have your content written for that day or at least the framework of the ideas. And you do one video, record. Cool. All right, that was great. Perfect. I was looking at the camera, felt good, felt energized. Okay, go, switch, put the hair up, necklace, come back. All right, different day, right? And there you go. Then you do your other content, and it's fabulous. And then you do the same thing, and you can get 3 to 6 videos done in one day.
So just fun fact related to this.
Yeah.
I saw on the news that Vanna White, the Wheel of Fortune, it says they only shoot 35 days out of the year. But I had no idea about that. Yeah, like 6 a day or something like that.
She has outfits for, and she also has a costume team. So, yeah. Another one is to stay relevant. There's so much going on in the news. It's hard to keep up with everything that's changing and going on. But try to think about things that are happening. Again, I wrote this Diddy election and LA fires. It was only a few weeks ago, and things have changed, right? All the stuff happening with Diddy, the election and what's happening with that, and then also the LA fires. I had on there previously the hurricanes, right? So things are constantly changing. When you can start tapping into the current news cycle, again, people want to hear about what's happening in the world. And if you can connect it to the work that you're doing, it brings more people in to listen to you. Another one, and people see me do it all the time, and my husband and my children are just like used to it at this point, always be taking B-roll. There are times when I'm walking into the chamber, video, and sometimes I'll see somebody be like, right, caught them on video. Or even when you go out to eat, you'll see people, why are they taking a picture of their food? Because first it's beautiful, right? Restaurant, but also you can use that as B-roll later. Had a really yum lunch with so-and-so. We're working on a fun project. Can't wait to tell you about it. Here's a picture of my food, right? But it is still connecting. There's times I have so much video on my phone right now that at any time, if I'm feeling lazy, I just go, where was I? Okay, yeah, I'll put a post about that, right? So if you have it on your phone, you don't have to go back and be like, oh, I was at the chamber. I got to go back to the chamber. No, just have your phone out and just be recording, okay? And then the last one is to be you. There is I think she's famous. There's a real estate agent called the Rockstar Real Estate Agent. She's a rock star, and that's how she markets herself. And so, of course, the people who love working with rock stars are calling her up to be their real estate agent. So she has fully encapsulated who she is. She is an actual rock band. So she's the Rockstar Real Estate Agent. Okay. Any questions before you practice together? So exciting. Okay, no questions. Okay. All right, the 30-second introduction. I'm just gonna say it, they are boring. They are super boring. People stand up, they say their name, they say what company they work for, and at that point, I have stopped listening. Anybody else have that same experience? So you don't want to raise your hand, but you know who you are, okay? Okay, so we want to make sure that you captivate the audience in a networking event and not put them to sleep, okay? So the way you can do this is telling an ideal client success story, okay? Or telling a story that connects you as a child. And then ending that with your name, your company, and a really cute tagline. One of my favorite taglines, again, Dan Firks, call Firks first. Super simple. Call Firks first? Yes, absolutely. There's another one who's a divorce attorney, and she says, if you want to get rid of the house or a spouse, call me. It's great. I remember her all the time. I'm constantly giving her clients because I know that's what she deals with. So I want you first, before you get together with your group, is to think about a client success story or a story about your childhood that connects to what you do now. If you want to write it down, you can. My head is just, okay. An example of a client success story is, I did this one before. So I work with this construction company. This guy calls me up and he is super, super overwhelmed. He's the owner of the construction company. And he's like, my guys just keep getting into fights all the time. I've had to call the cops a whole bunch of times. I have the comp claims up the wazoo right now. It is ridiculous. So he calls me in, I start working with the gentleman, and I zen the crap out of them, and now they don't fight anymore. No more comp claims, and business is booming. I'm Azizi Marshall, Center for Creative Arts Therapy. Call me when you need some help. Simple, okay? Another one is childhood story. So think about what I talked about my parents. So I was raised by two therapists, didn't want to be one, chose to go into professional acting, use my theater degree and my master's in psychology to then work together and create the Center for Creative Arts Therapy, where we train people in drama therapy and use that to help the community. Azizi Marshall, Center for Creative Arts Therapy, right? There's stories versus somebody standing up and saying their name and what they do and that, right? There's a time and place for that, but if you want to catch somebody, then that's how we do it, okay? So we're just gonna try it. 30 seconds, 30 seconds, okay?
It's a long time.
Huh? It's not, because I'm gonna be timing you, and then you'll know what 30 seconds is, okay? All right, so go ahead and write out your story. It's okay, it's a safe place here. We're gonna practice it together, so then when you get in the next room, you're gonna be like, got it, yeah. What was this like? Do it a little differently. What did you notice?
Different styles.
I was way more engaged with all of the introductions.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the levity of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because networking can be like so stiff sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't like that kind of networking. So it's like you connect with people in a different way. Yeah. So I have one last thing to show you, and it's, I promised my friends that I would show them this because it's a project we've been working on for people who want to get the content that they need for their social media. So we have a videographer, we have a photographer, and then myself as a brand and speaking coach. And we're working together on this, so I have the flyer up here, but the videographer made a really cute commercial, and I wanted to play it for you because I promised I would. So it's basically 30 minutes where you can get a 90-second video. You can also then get about 20 photos of yourself. And again, if you're sneaky with it, and again, we will allow sneakiness. If you have a shirt and you like, I'm gonna put my hair up in the next one and change out a scarf, like we can definitely accommodate that to get more looks. But it's just a great way to get that content, because I hear all the time that people don't have the time, as well as myself. So if I had something like this, I would do it myself too. So if you're interested, I do have the flyers if you want to get more information. The first one will be April 8th. At the Center for Creative Arts Therapy. So there's like art studios there, there's a duck pond, there's nature areas, there's interior shots where you're sitting at a desk that isn't really yours, but it is, because you have company, right? So all those things, all those things will be available on that first shoot. It's our very first time doing it, so feel free to connect with us. If you have questions about anything, please reach out. And thank you everyone for jumping into this and being so engaged and so lovely. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. I think that's my last slide. Yes, it is. That's my LinkedIn QR code. Connect with me there. Feel free to message me there. I do check my LinkedIn every single day. So if you have any questions about anything we went through, please reach out. Would love to connect with you all. By the way of the video.
Thank you so much, everyone. If